she was in the closet.
Okay.
And then she peed on herself, and then Jose said, make the pee, and then keep licking it and sleeping.
Welcome to True Crime Depravity. If you are new here, welcome, or if you are watching this video for the first time, please be aware that it is graphic and covers the death of a child due to abuse and torture. If it is too much for you to handle, please take care of yourself, and we will see you on another one. Now, let's talk about this case.
What about her hair? What did Mercedes' hair look like at that visit?
She had a full head.
Sorry?
She had a full head of
She had
hair.
a full head of hair? There's pictures that we saw of Mercedes while you were testifying where she had hardly any hair. Most of her hair was removed. None of that happened prior to February 7th?
No.
I'm not sure that I heard it correctly, but how did you describe Mercedes' bad behavior? How would you describe Mercedes' bad behavior? I believe you said it earlier, but how would you describe it again? Her bad behavior. What did she do that was so bad?
She would just talk back or not keep her hands still while she's in timeout, or
What was that you said?
she would not keep her hands still while she was in timeout.
She wouldn't keep her hands still. What did you mean by that?
She would be touching and grabbing things, or like looking around, or trying to watch TV on the side, trying to get her sister to talk to her and stuff like that.
Where? So, timeout. She would use her hands, move them around, she'd try to grab at things. What else did she do that was so bad?
She didn't really do much bad.
Then why was she beaten so much?
Jose didn't like a lot of things that she did.
I didn't say what did Jose do. I said, why was she beaten so much? You testified that you beat her with a belt. Why?
I didn't say I beat her with a belt.
You never said that?
No, I said I whooped her with the belt.
Okay, so how else was she bad? Mercedes.
Like I said, she wouldn't say her ABCs, or she didn't count numbers, or she.
Second. Just a moment, please. She wouldn't say her ABCs. What was the context of that? Like, does she just automatically have to spurt them, or?
No, Jose would ask her to say her ABCs.
We're talking about when she was bad, and you want to go to Jose right away. But why did you think she was bad about ABCs? How did that come up?
I didn't know that. I would get mad at her because she would lie, or she would talk back, or she wouldn't do exactly what I told her to do, or she would play with things in timeout, or watch TV while I told her not to. She would. I had these like vitamin gummies, and like I fell asleep one time, and she wanted to open the vitamin gummies and eat them as candy, so she got in trouble for that.
Was she destructive towards things? Did she break things and deliberately break things, or throw things, or?
No.
No. Did she steal from you?
No.
Was she violent toward you? Did she hit you, or?
Sometimes yes. Sometimes she would kick me when I would spank her, or she'll claw at me, or do stuff like
She would
that.
claw at you.
Sometimes.
Why would she kick you?
She would kick me because I would try to bend her over to spank her in her butt, and she didn't want to bend over, so she would kick and squirm.
Did you expect her to voluntarily bend over while you smacked her?
Yes.
Why was that?
I mean, if I tell you you're going to get a spanking, then you should be ready for a spanking.
You should be ready for it?
Yes.
Did you ever spank Jordan?
Yes.
And she would just bend over and let you?
Yes.
Without hesitation?
Yes.
And that was your definition of a good child, right?
That's good behavior.
On February 7th, 2022, a 5-year-old girl named Mercedes Losoya was rushed to a hospital in San Antonio, Texas. Her body battered and unresponsive, covered in injuries no child should ever have to endure. Her mother, Katrina Mendoza, frantically carried her inside while her boyfriend, 27-year-old Jose Ruiz, waited in the car. What began as a call for help quickly turned into a devastating tragedy. Mercedes' injuries were horrific: bruises, cuts, chunks of hair missing, broken teeth, and signs of ongoing abuse. Despite the doctor's best efforts, Mercedes couldn't be saved. A promising, innocent life was violently stolen from her. It became clear to hospital staff that this wasn't an accident, but a brutal act of abuse. Law enforcement was called, and attention quickly turned to Katrina Mendoza. She'd driven Mercedes to a hospital far from their home, raising questions about what had happened behind closed doors. Ruiz had a history of violence, and as investigators dug deeper, Katrina's chilling indifference toward her daughter's suffering became evident. She initially claimed she didn't know what had happened to Mercedes, but through hours of interrogation, the full extent of the abuse came to light. By March 2024, Katrina struck a plea deal and became a witness in the trial of Jose Ruiz, the man who had actively participated in the horrors that led to Mercedes' death. The trial was excruciating, revealing the full depravity of the abuse Mercedes had suffered. The details were shocking and painful to hear, but they were necessary to understand the darkness that took this little girl's life. This video is difficult to watch raw, heartbreaking, and painful. But it's important to bear witness to what happened to Mercedes, to understand the suffering so many children face behind closed doors. The story must be heard, even if it hurts. This is the trial of Jose Ruiz, and though it's hard to see, it is a story that cannot be forgotten.
She was in the closet.
Okay.
And then she peed on herself, and then Jose said, make the pee, and then keep licking it and sleeping.
Yes, I'm sorry. How long until you saw Mercedes again?
The next day.
And what happened when you saw Mercedes again?
She was drenched in some kind of water or beverage.
Did Jose tell you what happened?
He said that she wouldn't stop crying, so he threw water on her.
Was there something that occurred that caused you concern regarding Mercedes having injuries?
Like I said,
No foundation as to the injuries, just that you saw them. Overall.
so not right away, but when we got to the apartment, I pulled her pants down and she had bruising in her thighs.
Why did you pull her pants down?
She needed to go to the restroom.
Okay. Describe this bruising on her inner thighs.
It was swollen, purple, almost black.
Was it small bruising, a lot of bruising?
A lot of bruising.
Did you confront Jose regarding this bruising?
Yes.
What did Jose tell you?
He said he didn't He said that he didn't realize how hard he was pinching her and that he wouldn't do it again.
Okay. Where was the apartment that you went to?
I can't remember. I know the name,
Okay, what was the name?
Henry B. Apartments.
Okay. When you went over there at this point in time, was that when you started staying with Jose consistently?
Yes.
And how long were you there prior to Mercedes' death?
Before her death?
Yes.
Like I said, we were staying in and out with him.
Okay, but you just said you were there consistently. How long consistently before she died?
Oh, about 3 weeks.
Okay. Would Jose continue to punish Mercedes?
Yes, ma'am.
Why would he punish her? What were some things she would do that would cause him to punish her?
Little things like playing with her fingers in timeout, touching things in timeout, not holding up an object, sitting on her legs when she got tired, talk.
To the narrative, Your Honor.
And Judge, I'm sorry, I'm just going to object. I believe this is Ms. Connolly's witness. I
No.
object to. Okay.
You may continue your answer.
What was the question again?
How would Jose punish Mercedes?
How would he punish her? Or why?
I thought that was why he was punishing.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It was why he would punish her.
Because she wouldn't like say her ABCs or say the numbers right or like repeat what he was saying correctly or answer him in a correct way.
Your Honor, I'm objecting to there's no foundation for this. I mean, all of a sudden numbers come up.
Overruled. Ask your next question.
How was Mercedes potty trained?
Yes.
Would she ever have accidents?
Yes.
How often?
For those 3 weeks, very often.
What about prior to those 3 weeks?
No, she wouldn't have accidents.
Do you know why she was having accidents?
I believe she was scared.
How would Jose punish Mercedes?
Objection asked and answered, Your Honor.
Overruled.
I can answer?
Yes.
Okay, he would pull her hair, he would spank her with the belt, he would use the metal part of the belt, he would hold her breath by covering her mouth and her nose, he would pull her hair out, he would, not let her eat certain foods or have a certain drink. He would keep her standing up for hours at a time. He would sleep deprive her. That's all I can think about right now.
You mentioned that he would cover her mouth and nose. Was there ever a time where Mercedes became unconscious due to this?
Yes.
What happened?
He just covered her mouth and her nose and let her go, and her body fell to the floor.
What had to be done because of that?
He had to blow in her mouth like CPR.
Was she standing or laying down when he did that?
With the CPR,
No, covering her mouth.
she wasn't standing or laying down. He was like carrying her.
How many times did that happen where Mercedes went unconscious because of that?
About 2 times.
Was there ever a time where Mercedes would do that to herself and hold her own breath?
Yes.
Would that ever cause her to go unconscious?
No.
Earlier you mentioned thumbtacks. Tell me about the thumbtacks.
Yeah, that started because when Mercedes was in timeout, she'll be on her knees, and she would get tired of being on her knees, so she would put her butt on her legs. And in order for her to stop doing that, Jose put thumbtacks in her feet.
I want you to explain that a little more. When he put thumbtacks in her feet, how long did they stay there?
For hours.
Did he put thumbtacks anywhere else on her body?
On her butt.
How many thumbtacks?
At a time?
Yes.
Maybe like 4 or 5.
Would he ever make stand on thumbtacks?
Yes.
Tell me more about timeout. What would he have her do while she was in timeout?
Sometimes he would have her hold her arms like this, or hold an object, or kneel on rice.
Was there ever a time when Mercedes wouldn't do those things while she was in timeout?
Yes.
What would happen if she didn't do those things?
He would pull her hair, or hit her hands with the phone, or her feet with the phone.
What phone are you talking about?
His iPhone.
Was there ever anything done to Mercedes' arms if she would not keep them up in the air?
Yes, he tied like a thin pole to her arms, and like wrapped it around the pole.
How long would Jose have her wrapped to a pole?
For hours at a time.
When she was wrapped to a pole, would she have clothes on?
Sometimes.
Would she ever be naked?
Yes.
Did he ever put anything over her head?
Yes, he did.
Next question.
Yes, Judge. Would Mercedes ever bleed from her injuries?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she ever have any scabs?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Jose have a ring camera?
Yes, ma'am.
What did he do with the ring camera?
He would put it to watch her in the closet.
Okay. Why would she be in the closet?
To be secluded as a timeout.
Who would put her in the closet?
Jose.
Did you ever try to stop Jose from doing these things to Mercedes?
Yes.
How many times?
Several.
Did he listen to you?
No.
Let's talk about how you disciplined Mercedes while at Jose's house. What are some of the things that you would do to Mercedes?
I would spank her with the belt. I pulled her hair. I put her in timeout. That's it.
Okay. You mentioned pulling her hair, and I believe you mentioned Jose pulling her hair out. Were you also pulling her hair out of her head?
No.
Was anyone else pulling Mercedes' hair out of her head?
Jordan.
Why would Jordan do that?
Because Jose would tell her to.
I'm sorry, what was that last word?
Because Jose told her to. I would put her in the corner of like the wall and have her face the wall with her hands behind her back.
Regarding your discipline of Mercedes.
That I wasn't hard on her enough, and that she didn't respect me because I let her walk all over me and do whatever she wanted.
Jordan, do animals?
Yes.
What did he have?
2 pit bulls.
Did anything ever happen to Mercedes' teeth?
Yes.
What happened to her teeth?
They fell out.
Okay. How did they fall out?
From my assumption, I think they fell out because
That's speculation. Suspect.
Did you ever see anything done to Mercedes' mouth?
yes.
What did you see?
Jose would stick her underwear or a sock or some like clothing in her mouth and then pull it out really quickly
And why would he put a sock or clothing in her mouth?
because she would cry.
What would Jose do when Mercedes would have an accident?
He would mop the floor with her in her urine.
What do you mean by that?
He would get her on the ground and just drag her in her urine.
Did he do anything with her clothing after she would have an accident?
He would put it in her mouth.
So you saw in Mercedes. Was anything ever done by you or Jose to treat those injuries?
Yes, ma'am.
What was done?
He would buy her like little cooling pads, the hot and cold cooling pads, and put them on her bruises. Or he would buy Neosporin for her cuts, or he would buy something that like causes the bruises to go away, and just stuff like that.
Surgery? Let me ask a different question.
Yeah.
Okay. Would he put those on one part of her body, a lot of her body?
Well, everywhere that she had bruises, and she was bruised up pretty much everywhere on her body.
Have concerns about CPS seeing Mercedes in her condition?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you afraid that they were going to take away your children?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you States Exhibit 98? Is that a picture of Mercedes and some of the things that we just described happening by Jose Ruiz?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 99, is that a photo of Mercedes' condition around that same time period that you were living with Jose Ruiz?
Yes, ma'am.
States Exhibit 100, is this a photo of Jose's dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
What's in States Exhibit 101?
Mercedes is eating some food with the bandages wrapped around her body.
Are those the bandages that you just described to the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
Is States Exhibit 102 and 103 additional photos of Mercedes' condition during that time period?
Yes, ma'am.
States Exhibit 104, without telling me what you see, just what was this picture captured on? Do you know?
A ring camera.
Okay. In this picture, can you tell where it's taken, what the location is?
Yes, ma'am.
No, she's just asking where it was taken.
Correct. How can you tell where it was taken?
I just recognize it.
What causes you to recognize it?
The floor.
Okay. Where is the location it was taken?
In the closet
Of what location?
of the apartment, Henry B. Apartments.
Whose apartment was that?
Jose's.
105, States 105, and, no, States 105. Is this a picture of some of the items that you would treat Mercedes with?
Yes, ma'am.
You see a hand in that photo. Whose hand is that?
Jose's.
All right, you're gonna have to make sure you speak up and you can remain seated when you make your objections so the court reporter can hear. And please make sure you speak at the microphone. All right, with regards to that objection, it will be sustained. Lay the foundation, please.
Yes, Judge. Are all of these fair and accurate depictions of items you saw while at Jose Ruiz's or Mercedes' condition while you were at Jose Ruiz's apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Actually, one more. States Exhibit 107. Do you recognize this photo?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is this also something that you described happening to Mercedes by Jose Ruiz?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that objection will be overruled.
Do you recognize the location in this photo?
Yes, ma'am.
Where was it?
Can I see what can? I believe that's on the floor of the room.
I'm sorry. Whose apartment?
Jose's.
You want to make sure counsel has said that she has no objections to State's
To the
Exhibit.
admission, Your Honor, is what I said. To the admission,
All right.
not to the content.
State's Exhibits 96 through 110
You're
are.
right. I want to be clear.
Yeah, here.
A picture of Mercedes holding looks like a jug of something.
How do you know that that's Mercedes?
Because of the clothes she's wearing.
Okay. Was this a photo that was sent to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Who sent this photo to you?
Jose.
Do you remember what day he sent that to you?
Sometime in January.
Of what year? State's Exhibit 96. What are we looking at here?
A picture of Mercedes.
Okay. Have you how did you get this photo?
I don't remember that photo.
Okay. Is she wearing the same?
A picture of Mercedes.
What is she doing?
She's in the shower with something in her mouth.
What is in her mouth?
Clothing.
You know what kind of clothing that is?
Her underwear and her shorts.
Why would this happen to Mercedes?
Because she would be crying, or maybe at that time she had made an accident on herself.
Did you do this to Mercedes?
No, ma'am.
Did you take this photo?
No, ma'am. The dogs.
Whose dogs?
Jose's dogs.
State's Exhibit 101. Who is that?
Mercedes.
What is on her body?
The hot and cold patches
And where on her body are those hot and cold patches?
on her face and her arms.
Who else is in that photo? Can you tell?
No.
Did you take this photo?
No, ma'am.
Who did that to Mercedes?
I bandaged her up.
You put those bandages on her?
Yes.
Are those bandages indicative of everywhere she had bruises on her body?
Yes. Mercedes' mouth.
And what happened to Mercedes' mouth?
She's missing teeth.
What else do we see on Mercedes' face?
Jose's fingers.
On her face?
A
Does she have any
bloody-
other injuries?
A bloody nose.
Okay. What else?
It looks like she has some bruises on her face.
Okay. Who caused those injuries to Mercedes' face?
Jose Reese.
Did you cause any of those injuries to Mercedes' face?
No.
Did you take this photo?
No.
Can you see those bruises on Mercedes' face more clearly in this picture?
Yes, ma'am.
What about Mercedes' hair? What's going on with her hair in this picture?
It looks like she's losing some.
These pictures we've been showing so far, what time period were they taken in?
The 3 weeks before Mercedes passed away.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that response, ma'am.
The 3 weeks before Mercedes passed away.
3 weeks.
What are we looking at in this photo?
Mercedes standing on thumbtacks.
How do you know that that is Mercedes?
Because I can tell by her legs. No, ma'am.
Why not?
I don't know.
Was Jordan a good child?
No, Jordan's bad sometimes too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Back to 104. How many thumbtacks are in that photo? Can you see?
Looks like 4.
Who had Mercedes standing on thumbtacks?
Jose.
And how was this picture captured?
I'm sorry?
How was it captured? How was it taken?
By the Ring camera.
Do you know where in the apartment this was?
In the closet.
105. What are we looking at here?
The cold and hot pads.
Okay. Who purchased these cold and hot pads?
Jose.
How many times were they purchased in those 3 weeks?
Many times.
7. What are we looking at here?
Mercedes bending down.
Okay. What's going on with Mercedes' arms in this photo?
They look like they're wrapped in the pole that I was telling you about.
Can you describe this pole to the jury, please?
It was a thin pole about this long.
Did it have another purpose, or was it just a pole?
It was so that she wouldn't mess with the bandages.
Okay. Whose feet are in this picture?
Jose's.
Did you take this picture?
No, ma'am.
Does Mercedes have any clothing on in this picture?
No, ma'am.
Where were you when this is happening?
I'm not sure. The sweeper jet mop, a shoe, and I don't know what that other thing is.
Okay. Now look at State's Exhibit 107. Are those the same things on the floor in that picture as in State's Exhibit 81?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you tell the jury who is in this photo?
Mercedes.
Okay. Describe what Mercedes is doing.
She's standing naked with the pole tied to her arms. And something covering her face. The clothing covering her face.
Okay. And in what position are her arms?
And a crucifix.
Did you see things like this happen to Mercedes?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did things like this to Mercedes?
Jose.
The dogs that we showed you in State's Exhibit 100, would they ever go to the bathroom in the apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Was anything ever done with dog feces to Mercedes?
Yes, ma'am.
What was done?
Jose had put dog feces on her face.
Is this something that you saw happen?
I didn't see it happen, but I saw it afterwards, after that it happened.
Is this what Mercedes looked like when you saw her with dog feces on her face?
Yes, ma'am.
What day did this happen? Do you remember?
No.
Did something else happen this day that helps you remember what day it was?
Not that I remember, but I remember we left that day.
I'm going to show you I'm going to just put on the screen, what's been previously entered as State's Exhibit 93. Do you know whose phone that is?
Jose's.
Judge, may I publish 108?
Just a moment before we publish.
Tired of myself.
Pick it up. Now.
What do you know myself?
Pick it up, Mercedes.
You mad at myself.
Pick it up.
You don't. Even you mad at me, man.
Yeah, I'm mad at you.
Because I not listen to me. Right, Jose. I know I'm mad at me.
Why?
Because I'm not listening.
Oh, that's a
And I'm not
no-brainer.
picking my hands up.
That's a no-brainer.
Right. Oh, I'm trying to pick it up. I promise you won't say
Pick it up.
die.
What do you mean you're trying? You're not trying. Pick it up.
It's heavy for me.
No, it's not. It's not even heavy at all.
It's
Nothing. Pick it up.
It's full.
Yeah, I know. It is full. Pick it up.
That's what it's
Pick it up.
You know. That's what I'm doing. I'm picking it up.
Pick it up.
I'm mad at myself. This is my mad face.
That's your mad face?
Yes.
Let me see.
I'm mad at myself.
Show me.
I'm mad at myself.
That's your mad face?
Yes.
Let me see.
Next question.
Yes, sir. Katrina, who all lived at the Henry B apartment with Jose?
Jose, Rocco, Ruben, and Sinaida, and me, Jordan, and Mercedes.
Who are Rocco, Ruben, and Sinaida?
Those are Jose's brothers and sisters.
Who all saw the abuse Mercedes endured?
All of them that lived in the household.
Police ever come out to the apartment?
Yes.
Do you know how many times?
No.
Was there a time that you talked to police yourself?
Yes.
What happened that day?
Jose and me were getting after Mercedes, and the police showed up, and I went outside and I told them that everything was okay.
What do you mean by getting after Mercedes?
There was a lot of screaming and yelling.
What about physical abuse to Mercedes?
That day, no.
Okay. Was there another time that police were called out to your apartment?
No. Not that. Yes, but I didn't talk to them.
Okay. What happened that day?
I don't remember.
When the police came to the apartment, did anyone answer the door?
Jose did. I can't remember.
Why was the door not answered for police?
Because
Okay.
January 31st, 2000.
And in 2022, did you do anything for your birthday?
Yes.
What did you do?
I went out of town.
Where did you go?
I forgot.
Okay. Who did you go with?
Jose.
Wait. Again, same objection. This is, it is boldly,
Stop, one person at a time.
it is boldly and disingenuous to say the least, to say, one moment I can't remember, and the next moment what happened, let me tell you. Either she doesn't remember or she does, but she needs to be honest. And she's not being honest, I object.
All right, just a moment.
Record judge?
Ask your question.
Okay. Who all went with you?
Jose, Che, and Jeanette.
Not once, in 3 hours of testimony, did this depraved woman, this so-called mother, express even a hint of remorse for the unimaginable cruelty inflicted upon her own flesh and blood. Not once did she shed a tear. Not once did she flinch. Not once did she even blink in sorrow. Yet, the moment the court called for a brief recess, this woman, the very one who gave birth to an innocent child, turned to the man who brutally took that child's life and apologized to him. Apologized. What does that say about the depths of her depravity?
These are the moments and memories Lorraine and Emily have left of Mercedes.
She would tell me, Chama. I said, yes, I love you with all my heart. And then she would blink her eye.
The grandmother and aunt said they tried to get Katrina Mendoza to leave her daughters Jordan and Mercedes with them. And she did for a while until the day before Thanksgiving in 2021.
I even cried outside. Katrina, let me have the girls. Let them stay here tomorrow's dance. Not because of the honor of my mom. I need to take the girls, and never saw Mercedes again.
Emily, concerned with the well-being of the girls, called CPS on several occasions. But at the trial, it was revealed despite having numerous filings against Mendoza, the kids were never removed. During trial, the grandmother and aunt, along with other family members, saw the video and photos Ruiz took of himself abusing Mercedes and the aftermath.
It's just the video was just so hard for me to watch. Like strangers that were in the courtroom or people watching in, they had more of a reaction to watching that video than she did. You contact us first before you gave her. I said, but you never did. I said, why? Because 45 or probation, that's a slap on my face.
Will there ever be justice for Mercedes?
She didn't choose to die.
No.
So I don't think there will ever be justice for her.
Be justice.
No matter what, I'm just going to leave it in God's hands. She's going to pay. Sitting in that jail, she's going to, in prison, her day's coming and his days.
CPS failed this innocent girl. Her family failed this innocent girl. The entire system failed her. But above all, the most damning failure was that of the one person who was supposed to protect her, the one person who should have been her shield, her advocate, and her refuge, her mother. This betrayal cuts deeper than any failure of the system, because it came from the very one who was supposed to love and nurture her above all else. And for that reason, I understand why Mercedes' aunts and grandmother, who fought tooth and nail to be heard by CPS, to protect her, to give her a better life, believe, as I do, that the 45 years she received in prison is far from enough. It is a small fraction of the sentence she truly deserves. May she, in some small measure, face the same fate that she so callously allowed Mercedes to endure.